It's happening.
It's happening. Here we go.
We're podcasting.
We're podcasting. We've been through a whole name change already. Some bands have to go through a couple years of being a band before that happens.
The funny thing is this is the second time we have recorded the intro podcast episode.
Yes. Welcome back again. Or welcome for the first time again.
Yeah. Okay, let's tell the story real quick.
Yes.
We've been thinking about making this podcast for, well, a year probably.
Yeah, about a year.
You came up with the idea. We just kind of tossed it around in the background, never really came to fruition. And then probably November of 2020, it was like, all right, we're doing this thing. And got very, very excited. So excited that we came up with a name that was already taken by a very large podcast.
Huge podcast. I don't know how we missed that.
We just got so amped about the name Slow Burn that all of our like intellect went out the window, and we just started recording episodes.
Yeah, 4 whole episodes with guests who said the name over and over again in their interviews.
And we didn't feel okay with just doing like a stupid edit where we substitute our actual name, Rally Caps, into each of those spots. What an intro. That was real smooth. Like, oh yeah, that's the first time you heard our name on our podcast. This is a hot mess.
Also, it's Rally Caps. Also, that's us.
So the idea of Slow Burn was, the whole concept was business takes time, right? Like, it's not an overnight success. It's not something that's just going to happen right away. You're not going to have the idea and the next day you'll have success. It's just this grind over time that's consistent and needs that consistency. And whether it's coming from the background of what we do with photography and filmmaking and YouTube, or even just any kind of small business or startup business or online business, it's going to take time. Mm-hmm. So that was the initial idea behind the name Slow Burn. And then this wonderful human over here, Steven, came up with
Rally Caps.
Yeah, we already said it, but that is the name.
That felt more special with the whole drum roll and everything. That was good.
Yeah, uh-huh. Do you want to tell them why we came up with Rally Caps, Steven?
Yeah, so Rally Caps, for context, is a baseball term that kind of refers to, bottom of the ninth. Your team is down. You're rooting for them. You haven't lost hope in them quite yet. You flip your cap around. You double down on the energy that you're bringing, and you don't give up. Is the idea is that you're persevering and you are keeping faith that your team's going to come through, that they're going to get the win. And seeing as Eric and I both have an affinity for baseball, big fans of the sport, we played it in our youth. We're still youthful, but in our youth, it had like a really deep personal connection for the two of us, and it feels really nostalgic to even just say out loud, because it brings back all of those memories of little league games and going to MLB games and all that cool stuff. So for us, it not only has that personal connection, but it also embodies that attitude of not giving up, of persevering, of doubling down when the cards seem stacked against you. And that's what we think is important for building a creative business, of any business really, but specifically for artists that are trying to turn their hobby into their career. Sometimes you have to turn your rally cap on, you have to get ready, you have to double down, you got to sweat a little, and you just got to persevere. So we're hoping that this podcast and these interviews and conversations that we have will provide some insight into how other people before you have done that, and also how we're doing it in our day-to-day lives now.
So you'll come to realize very quickly that whenever Steven riffs on an idea that he's passionate about, it just sounds like he scripted out the entire thing and rehearsed it for weeks. He's just that good at talking. And then you have me over here who's like bumbling over the introduction of our name. But no, like we actually, it took us a solid 2 weeks or 3 weeks to figure out what the new name would be. And we were toiling over it. And what's so funny is I have this personality of ready, fire, aim, where I just want to get something going and get something done. And I was perfectly fine with coming up with a name that was just going to be fine and just start going. But I'm incredibly happy that I'm partnered with Steven in this endeavor, because when we came up with Rally Caps yesterday, I actually read it on paper and thought nothing of it. But as soon as Steven said it and then talked about the heart behind it, I was like, oh man, that's way too good. And now I'm so happy. We spent 3 weeks toiling over this name, especially like if you know me at all personally, like following any of my YouTube channel or film photography, any of that stuff. I love nostalgia. Nostalgia is like one of the most important things in my life, whether it be something from my childhood, creating things that I know will be nostalgic in the future, hearing, seeing, feeling things that are all nostalgic is something that's deeply ingrained in who I am. And so for it to be something that's so intertwined with our podcast is amazing. On top of that, our listeners can be called the Cappers, and that is sick.
Yes, 100%.
I just threw out that joke yesterday. That's probably not what it's going to be. But like all the metaphors that we can even like, I don't know, dad joke metaphors that we can make through this about, like being in the bullpen and, bringing in the closer and like all this, like all sorts of these like fun and funny baseball references and tying them to business. All jokes aside, like just that juxtaposition combination of things with the nostalgia and how applicable it is to how we have grown our businesses over time and felt that, that building it over that long haul and not losing hope. It's just so important, especially with, like I've felt it so many times over the past 6 years, 5-6 years being full time, of just feeling beaten up, especially like with posting YouTube videos. You throw out this idea and something that you're so proud of, and analytically it's not well received. And that's so applicable to so many, small businesses, whether you're putting things online or you do this launch and it's a total failure and you have to learn from it. Like that whole idea of having people around you, man, haven't thought of this yet. Like teammates around you in community to help you, like actually motivate you to put the rally cap on and to keep going is so powerful. And that's what we are for each other, Steven and I. That's what, we have built around us in our communities where we live. I being in Chicago, Steven being in Boston area. And what we're so excited to then bring on to the podcast with people from literally everywhere, doing business in all sorts of different ways.
This is very exciting. That teammate analogy is perfect too. I didn't even think about that. That's awesome.
Yeah. The more and more you actually think diligently about a name like that has meaning, you start to easily pull metaphors from it, is what I've learned. And what's funny is like both of our personal logos for our businesses have that same baseball nostalgic feel, and we in our branding has that as well. So to have that connection as well in our personal brands now into our podcast is also wildly epic. But I even wanted to start chatting a bit about some of the first guests we're going to have on this podcast. Do you want to take it away with our first one?
Yeah. First episode next week. We are thrilled to be sitting down with our good friend Benj Heisch, who is a wedding and elopement photographer in the Pacific Northwest. He is a bit of a legend in the wedding space. He kind of pioneered what the modern day elopement looks like on Instagram now. I'm sure you've seen it, bride and groom on top of a mountain, epic sunset in the background. It's everywhere now. And he was the first person to do that way back in 2013, 2012, around that time. And it's incredible to see how much that has shaped what a modern wedding and elopement looks like now. So we are talking with him next week. That is the first episode. We talk through business, about diversifying your business, about branching out into digital assets and selling e-commerce, selling things online, and what that looks like for a wedding photographer in particular, how to branch out a little bit beyond what just one single person can do, and how to maybe get different streams of income built up so that you don't feel like you are relying so heavily on just being able to show up to a wedding in person. which is especially pertinent coming out of 2020, which we also talk about with Benj in the episode. So that is going to be next week's. How many other guests do we want to talk about right now?
2 more?
2 more? Yeah. Who's the week after that, Eric?
Then we chatted with my good old pals from Mango Street.
Ooh.
Yeah. So Daniel and Rachel, I met them 5 years ago. We kind of talk about that in the episode, and just everything that they've built over the past 3-4 years on their YouTube channel. They do photography tutorials, but what's so cool about what's happening with them recently and how they kind of pivoted into 2020 is both Rachel and Daniel started their own personal channels. Rachel going into fitness and Daniel going into finance. So using the skill set they had in video production and building a YouTube channel to start something completely different. So coming up with like 30-day plans and courses on Rachel's end for doing fitness, and then Daniel kind of going after the YouTube algorithm and ad revenue and all that comes with building a finance YouTube channel. And then building small businesses within that finance channel all along the way, which is really cool as well. Similar to what Mike and I are doing with our separate finance channel. So relatability is through the roof. They are wizards at the craft. So that is just such a good episode, and you're going to love watching that, listening to that. Man, that's going to be hard for me to transition to. So used to YouTube watching. We do, if you are listening on any podcast streaming service, we also have this up on YouTube as well, which you can find in the show notes.
And then week 4.
Yeah. Tell them.
Oh, man, we are thrilled for episode 4 to feature the one and only Jack Coyne. There are so many things you can say about Jack. He's just the coolest dude ever. He is a crazy talented filmmaker. He blew up on YouTube a couple years ago and has been featured prominently in the vlogs and kind of daily lives of many other YouTubers before him even. And he's just done so much on his own as a person. And man, that whole episode was so much fun to record with him. That conversation was super inspiring. Jack has one of the best kind of auras of confidence I've ever seen in a person. He just exudes it, and he does it in a very humble way, in a very relatable way that kind of inspires you to kind of take on that same charisma. Just extremely hardworking person, very down to earth, and I can't even remember what we talked about with him, but it was so much fun that I know it's going to be good.
What's so cool about all these first guests is that there is a direct connection to our world in creativity of photo and video and YouTube, but they're all branching into entirely new forms of business. So Benj with digital assets and diversifying with things like Patreon and selling more things online and starting a YouTube channel. Danielle and Rachel was starting 2 brand new YouTube channels that have subsets of small businesses and companies running within there. And then Jack, like using and leveraging his YouTube channel to then partner with brands and sponsors in completely different ways than other people are on YouTube, and almost getting into like consultation, as well as building out a whole part of his brand and his business with philanthropy and doing that within the New York City metro area. So it's just really exciting to, well, first of all, just to have guests that have that much notoriety and like power, like what they're doing. And what's so awesome is that, okay, let's just break down the fact that I wasn't willing to start a podcast with Steven because I said I didn't have enough time to do work like this added on to all the things I already do, which was my first excuse for not starting a YouTube channel in the first place. And then Rachel told me just do it anyway. But Steven agreed. He said, you know what, if you just show up, like I'm going to produce this whole thing for us. And I was like, man, like if you're willing to do that, then I'm 100% in. Like if I just have to commit an hour or 2 every week to just show up and record these, and if you want to kind of take the reins in producing it, I'm in. And then Steven just took it full force, and we're rally capping now, baby.
Dude, we're rally capping now. I still can't believe that we're starting off on this kind of note with this type of guests, this level of guests already. It's like,
And
it's
what I
blowing
was
my
going to
mind.
say, what I was going to say after that was the way we got these guests, like whatever quote unquote internet clout I might have for already starting a YouTube channel, none of that was like really helpful in getting these guests because Steven pitched all of them in the most beautiful way.
Which was really, really fun. And we'll probably talk more about in our B-sides.
Ooh, yeah, that's good that you bring that up because after every single episode of these podcasts, we're going to do a B-side episode that lives on my personal Patreon. This is Eric talking here. So just patreon.com/Eric Floberg. It's where all of my content goes for photo and video. That's like extra BTS and tutorial based stuff. But we're going to do a breakdown of every single episode, and we're going to talk about what we learned from each guest or break down even farther what we talked about in the episode if it's just the two of us. So hopefully more will exist there that will help with business and figuring out your direction, how it's, the episode might be even more relatable to you. Because in a lot of these episodes with the guests, we've kind of taken this demeanor of if we're going to have a guest on, we want to be talking like 10% of the time.
Yeah.
We really, since we're getting guests like this that are just incredible at what they do and have built sustainable and amazing businesses, mostly online. Like we just want them to speak about their expertise. We take a lot of inspiration from the podcast Hot Ones, and that like he straight up, I believe his name's Sean. He straight up just researches the heck out of each person. And so as you'll hear in the first few episodes, we do a little pitch to introduce each person. Every single podcast you listen to, it always starts out the same way. They're like, okay, so we have this person, whatever. Just tell us, how about you tell us a little bit more about you? Like, how did you get your start? And that's fine. Everybody does that, but we don't want to be that way. We don't want to just open it up that same way every time. So we've been doing our research and we've been crafting an intro every single time. That's very interesting and exciting. So look out for that.
Yeah. So excited about that. And to be clear too, Eric and I could riff all day long, and we're going to do plenty of episodes where it's just the two of us talking as well. But yeah, to reiterate, when guests are on the show, you're going to be hearing from the guest. We're not going to be talking over them. We're not going to be explaining our own life stories throughout it. We really want them to be there to just deliver it, to leave it all on the field. Rally caps. Because that's why we're having them there in the first place. So you will, when you see their name in the show title, you're going to be hearing from them primarily when you listen to the episode.
All of this to say, in conclusion, just go ahead and cut this and post.
Yeah, I got you.
Okay. No, we're not. You're not going to cut that. Okay. We're just unbelievably excited to get this off the ground. We're recording this a week and a half before the launch on January 21st. Shout out to you if you're listening to this on January 21st.
Let's go.
2021. We just want this to be a place and a resource for you all to, and this is the biggest buzzword of these days, but to genuinely feel inspired, to find motivation, to get your cleats on, and to seriously, to take the field, like to get out there and to make it happen. And hearing from people who are successful in their craft and doing the hard work that it takes and finding the gusto that you need if you feel, down and kicked and that you can't move forward or find success. And all of the people we talk to and all the conversations we have, I hope are applicable in moving all of us forward together in producing businesses that are sustainable for ourselves and for the people that we love. And ultimately just that being the heart of what this is, whether we get 5 people who listen to this or it goes through the roof. at the end of the day, whoever does listen to these episodes, we want it to radically transform your life in an economic way so that you can do the things that you care about just as much as we do. You know, the things that we hold dear with our family and our closest friends and the people around us in our cities. So that's why we want to do this at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. And whether it's a success or a failure, we're in it, right?
We're here.
We're
Rally
straight
caps
up
are
putting
on,
the caps
man.
on.
We're here.
Yeah, and it's happening, and we're in it for the long haul, and we are bound and determined to get through an entire season of this, even when things get busy, even when we don't want to, carve out the time in the week, because we made the decision. We want to see it through, and we hope that can be some motivation and inspiration for you to do the same in whatever capacity that is for you.
Yeah. So thank you for listening to this first episode. We appreciate you. We hope you got something out of it. We hope you are a teammate now, and we're looking forward to having you in coming episodes. You can find us on all major streaming services. You can also find the video edit of this podcast on YouTube. And if you are interested, you can check out the B-sides of every episode on Eric's Patreon as well, which will be linked in the show notes.
Man, you're so good at talking.
Thanks. I've had like 25 years to practice.
Oh, man. All right.
Cool.
All right, Cappers.
All right, Cappers. Out of the bullpen, all y'all. All right, let's go. I don't know why I got Southern. What was that? That was so weird. Oh, no.
All right, y'all.
Okay, y'all. That was bizarre. Anyway.
All right. Great. Just cut that out in post. All right. Thanks for listening to episode 1. We will talk to you guys soon, next week.
Yep.
With Ben Chaish.
Take care.
So.